Hello homeschool moms. In this video I want to show you how I am organizing my students' binders and the manipulatives that go with the BJU Press math curriculum. Now I am using BJU Press math through the distance learning program for kindergarten, for 3rd grade, for 5th grade, and for 7th grade. And I've set up my kindergartners a little bit differently, similar but a little bit differently than the rest of them. So I'm going to turn the camera around in a minute and show you how I have set the binders up and store the manipulatives for K-5 BJU math, as well as what I am doing for 3rd, 5th, and 7th grade. I'm going to use my 3rd graders binder as an example for the older grades. Now make sure to watch all the way to the end, because at the end of this video I'm going to come back and share with you 2 other ways that I have organized the BJU Press math curriculum and manipulatives for my kids over the years, so that if the way that I'm doing it this year wouldn't be a good fit for you, maybe one of those other 2 options will work for you. Let's go ahead and start with K-5 math. This has everything that I need for my student and for me. Now my student is using the distance learning video, so he's getting his instruction from there, and we are doing the online option, so all of the teachers stuff that I need to access really is online. But this is everything for K-5. This I just cut off of the work text book. That was the cover for the work textbook, so I cut that off and put it in there. And then I labeled it K-5 Math so that I could know which binder I needed to pull down off of my shelf really easily. So let's go ahead and open it up. And you'll see, oops, there my handouts are sliding out. I have handouts over here. I could have made a separate tab for them, but there is literally only 7 handouts for K-5 math. And so there was really no reason to have a separate divider for it. So I just slid them over there in the side pocket. What you'll see here is that there is a tab for the video guide, the manipulatives, and the worksheets. So what I did here is I put the video lesson guide that you get back here. I probably will not even use this much, just because all of this information is in the online access that I have. So I usually don't use that, but I keep it here just in case. Sometimes I want to look at that real briefly instead of going online. The next tab is manipulatives, and I put all of his manipulatives behind this tab. What I did was, these are page protectors, and I just took all of the manipulatives, I punched them out, and then I sorted them by groups. So here we have all of the baby chicks, here are the ducks, here are the little caterpillars, and so I sorted them into little Ziploc bags, and then I put those Ziploc bags into categories. So this one I labeled farm, and so all the farm manipulatives that have a farm theme are in here. This one is labeled, I don't know if you can see that, but it is labeled shapes, and so all of the little bags of different shapes are in here. So we have a bag of all the different squares, and we have a bag of all the different triangles. We have a bag of all the different rectangles and circles. And then this one is just the last few shapes we put together. And those all get slid in to this sheet protector. And so it's really easy for me to find everything that I need. I just, if he needs shapes, I flip to the shape page protector and I pull out the shapes that he needs. This one is labeled numbers. I don't know if you can see that. And in here I put the different rulers and measuring things, as well as the number cards. So it comes with some different number cards. I've divided those up and put those in here. And then the last one here is money. And so I've broken up the money. Pennies are in one bag, nickels are in another, dimes are in another, and so on. And so I can just pull out what he needs. And then the last tab here is worksheets. And I went ahead and ripped out all of the worksheets from the K-5 workbook, and so it's really easy for me to snap open and pull out the worksheet that we need to work on, and I don't have to worry about trying to rip things out during, in the middle of doing a lesson. I can just pull out what we need really easily. And then I'm sorry, there is one more tab. It is called the work mats. And so this is where I keep the work mats. I put these into different page protectors. I put them into ones that have this extra little tab here, and that's where they do the hole punch. So that way I can pull these out. I didn't have to hole punch these to fit them in. I can pull them out. He can use the work mat, and then we can put it right back in. And then the last thing is in the very back, we put the clock. Now I know one of the questions that I'm probably going to get is what's going to happen with these work text pages after your son does a work text page? Where do they go? Well, I have a record system already set up where when he does workbook pages and any little thing that I want to save, I just drop that right into my record keeping system file that I already have for him. I will link to that video down below. Any work text pages that I'm not going to save, then will just be put on display somewhere for a little bit, and then they will be put into recycling. But the ones that I want to keep will go right into my record keeping system. And again, I will share that video down below. So this really makes it easy for me that when it's time for my son to do math, I just look on the shelf, I pull out the K5 binder, I open it up real quickly. I can flip over really easily and pull out the manipulatives he needs. Instead of me having to dig through a tub, I can easily turn, if they say shapes, I can turn here to the shapes. I can pull out the shapes that he needs. I can flip over here, get the work text page he needs, get any of the mats that he needs, and hand them to him. And then I can close this up and put it back on my shelf, and it just makes it really easy for me to be able to get everything my son needs for K5 math through the distance learning program. Next, I want to show you how I am setting it up for my 3rd grader, 5th grader, and 7th grader. It's going to be the same for all of them, but I have my 3rd graders here with me to show you as an example. I'm going to start with this one binder here. There are 2 binders that they'll each have. This has all the manipulatives in it, and then this one has all the other stuff they need. So let's start with this one. So like I did before, is I just cut off the cover of the work text page and slid it in here, but I also realized that I could cut off the spine of the work textbook as well and use it as the spine of this binder. So that makes it even easier for my kids to recognize which binders are theirs. So let's go ahead and open this up and see how I organized it. Now my 3rd grader is not going to be taking tests throughout the school year as an actual test. I do have the tests here because we use them as extra reinforcement if need be, extra practice. So I do have them here, but I'm not worried about her looking at them and trying to cheat because we don't use them as tests. So I did slide them into there. Then her binder is divided up into 3 tabs here. She has her work text tab, handouts, and then you probably can't see this one, but it says completed work, and I'll show that to you in just a minute. So what we have here behind the work text tab is actually all of the work text pages. I ripped them all out and put them in here so she can easily open this up and open up the binder and pull out the work text page she needed. The thing that I was finding when my kids were pulling it straight out of the binder themselves is that they were ripping the pages, and they definitely were not things that I wanted to keep or show to anybody because they were pretty mutilated in getting pulled out by my kids. So I thought this year I'm going to pull them out ahead of time. So she's got all her work text pages there. The next tab is for handouts, and these are all the handouts that go with the distance learning program. And so she can easily pull those out when she needs them. And then when she is done, she will put whatever work text page, whatever handout she completed behind the completing tab, or the completed tab. And obviously there's nothing there because we haven't started our school year yet, but that will slowly fill up and get thicker and thicker, and these other sections will get smaller and smaller, but her binder will stay the same size. It will just move from these 2 sections over here to the completed section. And as you can see, I slid in the answer key here in the back, and that again, I'm not worried about her cheating because we probably won't even use the test at all. And I just did not want to have a separate binder for the test and the test answer key when we weren't even probably going to be using them. So I slid them in there. They're there if I need to get to them, but we probably won't use them. So that's a look inside kind of her binder that has the work text page and the handouts in it. Now let's go ahead and look at the manipulatives packet. I did the same thing here and cut off the cover of the manipulatives packet and slid it in here. Actually, I even cut out this one right here because originally I was going to put her manipulatives into a tub like I usually do, and I was going to use this as a label. And then I taped it all back together when I decided to do the binder. And I even labeled it there, Student Manipulatives. So when you open this up, all of her manipulatives are in here as well. The work mats are on the side, so she's got half of the work mats over here on this side, and the other half of the work mats and clock are over here in this pocket. And then I have labeled her each of these. Again, these are page protectors, and I've labeled them. This one is all the numbers, so the rulers, the number cards, the number lines, anything that has to do with numbers is in this one. This is the place value, so all the different place value manipulatives. These are the place value pocket charts, so everything for those are in this one. This one has all of the different shapes in there. And again, just like I did with my kindergartner, they're all separated into individual Ziploc bags. This is the fraction one, and again, I put all of the different little fraction pieces together into different Ziploc bags. And then we have the money one, and so I've got all the different things for money in there. And then here's the one of her flashcards where we're going to keep all of those. And so this is a lot easier for my kids. When I show them this, they're like, this is going to be so much easier than it all being tossed in a box. Even though I had put them in Ziploc bags and then tossed them in a box, and I even labeled the Ziploc bags, because they weren't separated out into categories, my kids were really struggling with and getting frustrated with finding what they needed. So I'm hoping that this will help. When they say to pull out some numbers, they can just turn to the number page protector, and then they can pull out the little baggie that they need. If it says they need, some shapes, they can just flip to the shape page protector category and then pull out the Ziploc bag with the shapes that they need. So hopefully this will make it a little bit easier for my kids to use. And the nice thing is that I can store this on our bookshelf, and it can just sit up on the shelf with the other binders, and so I don't have to have a separate place to store a whole bunch of boxes with manipulatives. So another option that I have used in the past when it comes to storing and organizing all my BJU Press math stuff is by keeping the workbook intact, or at least not pulling out all the pages ahead of time. So what my student would do here is they would, when they go to do BJU, do their math, they'd pull out their workbook, they'd pull out their binder, and this one's an empty binder. It's just one that I grabbed so that I could demonstrate this to you. And then they would have something else to store the manipulatives in, and I'll show that to you in just a minute. So what they do when they'd start the school day is they would pull out the work text page that they needed, and then they would have their binder, and their binder had two different tabs or dividers in it. One was for handouts, so all those handouts that you get with the distance learning program, they'd have one divider with handouts, and then the second divider would be for completed work. So when they completed their work text page that would be ripped out and any handouts, they would put those in their binder behind the completed tab. Then if they needed any manipulatives, we stored the majority of the manipulatives just in a plastic tub, and any large manipulatives like the work mat that didn't fit in here, we just put in the pocket of the binder. So when you open up the binder, the work mats would be just slid into these pockets. So that's one way that we have stored our BJU Press math curriculum. The last method is what I used for my first grader, and she was actually not using BJU Press math at the time, but she was using some of the distance learning videos for other subjects. And she was just not able at that time to really be responsible enough to rip out the correct pages in the workbook or to find the handouts herself. And so she still had a tub like this with her manipulatives, but I pulled those out for her each day. And then at the beginning of each week, I would pull out all of the work text pages, all of the handouts she'd need. I'd put them in the order that she would need to get them, with Mondays on top and Fridays on the bottom. And they went into a little pocket in the dividers that I had for each subject in her binder. And if that doesn't make any sense to you and going, I don't understand how that's working, don't worry. I did a whole separate video on how I organized and set up for first grade. I will leave that link down below, and hopefully then it will make a whole lot more sense to you. It was actually a really great system in helping my first grader at the time work independently and find everything that she needed. And although we didn't use BJU Press math in first grade at that time when I made that video, we were, like I said, using other distance learning videos for first grade. And so you'll be able to see how that works with the distance learning program in that video. So go check that out. Hopefully this video gave you some ideas on how you can organize your BJU Press math curriculum and manipulatives. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below, and I will see you again really soon in another video.